So a Google Doc just dropped exposing Sykkuno as a serial cheater. The accusers also label him a predator, which ended up creating its own separate drama. Now if you're employed and don't have free time, here's a quick TLDR version posted by Nakaishi that I think pretty much sums it up. So Sykkuno was living with his girlfriend, who he struggled to actually break up with, even though the relationship was already dead. He didn't initially tell people who were highly interested in him and actively seeking him out. A ton of people wanted to sleep with him and apparently wanted to move in after like 2 days of talking. He cheated on said girlfriend, who, from what Sykkuno himself said in the voice call, was basically a girlfriend in name only. We'll probably learn more as this unfolds. The accuser still wanted a relationship with him afterward, but got cut out of his life. And then came the very coordinated effort to turn it into a full hit piece against him. So Sykkuno is a cheater and a player. He flirted with and got with consenting adults, but he was living with his kinda sorta girlfriend and didn't disclose it, which is nasty. He's an asshole, but calling him dangerous or a predator is near defamatory. That word is heavily associated with pedophiles in everyone's minds and feels like an intentional buzzword to sensationalize this and do maximum damage, rather than an actually honest take from the heart. There's more to the tweet, but it wouldn't be TLDR version if I read all of it. Now, if you're unemployed or if you got time, let's get into the full thing. But first, for those who don't know who Sykkuno is, back in 2019, Sykkuno started streaming on Twitch with the support of his friend LilyPichu. He started collaborating with the OfflineTV circle and his numbers kept rising. But where he really blew up was during the 2020 pandemic, playing Among Us with big streamers like Valkyrae and Corpse Husband. The guy even landed a spot on Jimmy Fallon's show with other streamers. Anyway, it all started when a VTuber named HemomalVT dropped a 32-page Google Doc on Twitter exposing Sykkuno. On Valentine's Day of this year, I was followed on Twitter by Sykkuno. I thought it was amazing that such a big content creator even knew I existed, let alone followed me on social media. He had been my role model and someone I looked up to for a long time, ever since my days in high school. A role model since high school. For a guy who got famous playing Among Us, that's pretty impressive. Sykkuno is not the kind, soft-spoken character you see on stream. He is a serial cheater, liar, and manipulator who uses his status to get what he wants from as many women as possible. More specifically, ones who are smaller or up-and-coming content creators, knowing he can take advantage of them. Below, you will find evidence that will expose his calculated pattern of love bombing and manipulation, as well as a recording of a voice call where he explicitly admits to all his wrongdoings. So that's how the document frames things. Mujin released a 1-hour plus video almost immediately after the Google Doc dropped, and this is what he said about Sykkuno.
In an endearing way, he was a boy failure that needed a woman to fix him. In a nutshell, he was this picture. Almost allergic to other women. He just couldn't handle anything romantic. He would get too flustered. This made many of his fans want to be the one to finally fix him.
Now, I always thought the whole shy anime protagonist thing he had going on was a bit odd, but I didn't really think much of it back then. WestJet put it pretty simply in his video.
Never trust a dude that covers their mouth when they laugh.
I completely agree. According to the document, this is how the first interaction went down. Hemomal messaged first. She wrote, "Are you still looking for a Valentine's date, perhaps?" Sykkuno replied, "What? You can't just open up with something like that. And besides, Valentine's is almost over where I'm from already." Then she said, "I mean, we can always do a Valentine's Day do-over, you know?" So it's worth noting that she started the conversation first. This is gonna be important later. After that, he invited her to play games. Sykkuno offered to heal her with a healing kit for some reason, and later asked what games she liked. Then he asked if she could carry him in Overwatch. I've seen enough, he's guilty. Later that same day, they moved on to other topics. For context, this is still the same day as the first conversation, only moved to Discord and a few hours apart since I'm EU time zone and he's US time zone. Things started out innocently enough with him inquiring about fun things to do near where I live. I'd like to point out that I said we could go on a date to make up for Valentine's. He not once expressed to me any discomfort or that he wasn't single. Then the document states that Sykkuno followed her private Instagram using his official account. The document also states that she learned that there is a 15-year age gap between them. Note how the text is bold to show that it's important. Now I have to point out again that she messaged him first, and she could have looked up his age at any point. That wasn't exactly hidden information. Plus, he's supposed to be her role model since high school, so she should have known already. Making plans to move in together. With Sykkuno, our relationship moved so incredibly fast, it almost felt like a dream. It was like he could make anything I wanted happen. And as someone as prolific and successful as him, I had no reason to doubt anything he said to me. And then they talked about getting a cat together all of a sudden. We had known each other for barely a few days, and this 34-year-old man was already expressing interest in moving in together to live in the same house. That is pretty fast, but she didn't exactly pump the brakes either. She's now pointing out his age like it's a red flag, despite her initiating the whole thing. In this screenshot, Sykkuno said he has only ever had one relationship his entire life. I would eventually find out that was a lie, and that he had been dating and living in the same house as his girlfriend for years, and that I was not the only girl on the internet that he spoke to on a daily basis. Now we get into the sexting section. We texted every single day, and these interactions would be charged with flirting and suggestive topics. I would send him suggestive pictures and audios, and he would confirm that he'd strangle his noodle. Additionally, he'd always act flustered and inexperienced, keeping up the illusion of his on-stream innocent persona. So imagine this 34-year-old man receiving explicit pictures and reacting like he's never seen a woman before in his life. I gotta give props to the character consistency at least. On top of texting, we also called almost every day, even after he'd stream for over 8 hours. I now realized that he was quiet because his girlfriend lived with him and he didn't want her to hear. Zoe said, "Bruh, he cheated for e-sex. Are you serious?" I think that would make the whole thing even more pathetic than it is if he really cheated just for e-sex.
Behind this mirage, this illusion, there was a master manipulator, a serial cheater, and a predator.
There's been a lot of pushback to the word predator here. Personally, I wouldn't use that label based on what's shown in this Google Doc and what's been revealed so far. But I'm not defending Sykkuno. He is a cheater, no doubt about that. And that's disgusting on its own. More on that later. Moving on, there's this exchange where Hemomal says, "You have me now," and Sykkuno responds, "My XP bar is low." I don't know how, but I guess that line actually worked. May said, "Holy f***ing Riz of the century." Less than a month later, Sykkuno would randomly ask for my PayPal account in DMs. He'd then waste no time in sending me money unprompted, something that I'd later realize was simply a behavioral pattern that he'd employ with women he'd express interest in. I want to reiterate that I have never asked him for his money, and he did this of his own volition. He bought me both a gym jacket and Resident Evil 9 because I had expressed interest in the game. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if you didn't want the money, you could have just returned it. That's just my opinion. The document then introduced a second person named Elfilea who corroborated the allegations. After speaking to Elfilea a few days ago, we were able to corroborate our experiences with Sykkuno and learned that we were both victims of his. We had no idea that he was talking to both of us at the same time. Sykkuno is known to send hundreds of dollars to the girls he wants to get involved with. The screenshot is from when he took my friend Elfilea to Paris during the 2025 TFT tournament, along with sending her 500 euros to help her move into her new apartment. And looking at the screenshots, they seem pretty happy to accept these payments and go on these trips. As Elfilea spoke with Sykkuno, she'd tell him about rumors that she had heard from someone else, about how Sykkuno had a roster of readily available women, and how they all coincidentally were smaller content creators who wouldn't dare touch him if something went wrong. Now we get to the part where everything started to fall apart for them, I guess. The coincidence that would lead me to finding out the truth about Sykkuno happened last week. A popular male VTuber tried to slide in my DMs to presumably get in my pants, and when I rejected him, he immediately started to mention nasty rumors about Bao. Out of concern for her, I reached out to a mod who then connected me with Bao. The three of us struck up a conversation when I mentioned I was nervous about a date I was going on. They asked me who it was. When I said my date was with Sykkuno, they immediately told me not to go on the date for my own personal safety. Then she got put in contact with Sykkuno's actual girlfriend. This is Sykkuno's girlfriend. I have lived with him for over 2 years. We have been together since 2021. Everything he's planning with you are things we have planned together and talked about and have done. I'm sorry. That's just brutal. What these many women didn't know though is that he'd always lie about the fact that he's single, that behind the scenes he had a neglected and depressed girlfriend that he'd been with since 2021 and who has lived with him since 2024 in the same house. Now there's a 17-minute recorded call between Sykkuno and Hemomal. I won't be playing all of it of course, so here are some parts that I think stood out.
Why? Why didn't you just break off the relationship then?
Because a combination of remembering how it was, some part of me hoping it would go back to that, and...
Well, obviously it's not going to go back to that if you're actively cheating on her. It's only going to get worse. I think that's really on you, bud. And I know you're smarter than that.
I'm not.
I mean, for fuck's sake, you're a 34-year-old man. Yes, you are. Stop acting like you're a child. You knew damn well in the back of your head that wasn't going to end up well.
Yeah.
Toro said, "This dude is still doing the voice." And the comment under the video said, "Quiet sad boyfriend ASMR, you just found out you're the side chick."
That's it. Like,
What's it?
probably never talking again.
You and me?
Yes.
What? Why?
Is that not why?
What is why? I'm still upset with you, but you didn't cheat on me. You can still talk to me and be, like, make up for your actions. Don't get me wrong, because I always am there for second chances. But I never will forgive you for cheating on her.
So she says he can still talk to her and make up for his actions, but also says there's no excuse for cheating. That's weird. Even the comments are pointing it out. But it seems he doesn't deny anything on this call. Also, the last thing she said to him was, "I am beyond disappointed in you." Alright, so how did other streamers react? LilyPichu said she feels like she doesn't really know who people truly are and that she's been disappointed so many times, she's becoming more closed off. That's understandable given how long they've known each other. DisguisedToast said this on stream.
What happened? It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's disappointing. It's sad. I don't think that's really all I'm comfortable talking about. If and when Sykkuno makes a statement, you guys can hear from him.
Valkyrae also posted disappointing sad face emoji. So his friends are all saying that they're disappointed, and that's fair. Cheating is disgusting and messed up. XQC also got involved. He questioned why Valkyrae would comment on this, but stayed quiet on other controversies. Specifically, he brought up, "Where's all this energy for Kaya the shocked dog?" referencing a situation with Hassan Static Shock Piker. XQC also said sending money isn't manipulative or love bombing if the person willingly accepts it without reluctance.
Brother, it's not a tactic about money. If the person is asking for money and begs to receive money, you cannot say this. It has to be unprompted, unwarranted, and even if it has to be after reluctance and resistance. If the business, well, I don't think I should be taking this, and you still do it, wrong.
And honestly, from what's shown in the Google Doc, it does seem like they didn't show much reluctance or resistance to accepting his money. I feel like they were grown enough, mature enough to know where that was going. XQC also left a comment on Mujin's video questioning the claim that Sykkuno only targeted smaller creators, asking who else he could have possibly dated during his peak. Mujin responded on Twitter saying Sykkuno could have simply dated his girlfriend that he lived with instead of playing a dating simulator with every female content creator in existence. Now I have to mention the reception to Mujin's video. In Twitter, a lot of people questioned his video, specifically for the fact that it was released so early, almost instantly after the Google Doc dropped, that it feels coordinated, and especially for the use of the word predator. Some felt that his use of the word dilutes what it actually means. Now here's my own worthless opinion. Sykkuno's a piece of shit for cheating, absolutely. But I disagree with calling him a predator because from what's shown in the Google Doc, Hemomal started the conversation, they accepted his invitation and money without much reluctance or resistance, and they're all consenting adults over 18. At least that's from what we've got so far. Maybe more evidence will come out, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I feel like both Mujin and HemomalVT wouldn't have gotten this much pushback if they simply didn't use the word predator and only label him for what he is, a serial cheater. Even Legal Mindset chimed in. Mujin clearly coordinated regarding the timing of the drop, but that's not my biggest issue. The real issue is the use of the word predator, which is wholly inappropriate, near defamatory, and completely divorced from its legal meaning relating to minors. I have to point out the fact that in the recorded call, Hemomal says she's willing to keep talking to Sykkuno and give him a second chance, but also says she'll never forgive him for cheating. So I don't know what her play is here. Anyway, Sykkuno is trash and cringe for cheating, and the women were also acting weird and cringe. He should have just ended the relationship if it was dead, as mentioned in the Google Doc, before going on his little harem adventure with VTubers. Now I'm gonna wait for more information to come out. Maybe Sykkuno will actually respond at some point, but as of recording this video, he hasn't said anything publicly. And apparently there's a whole separate drama going on with Mujin relating to this situation. I might cover that in the next video if there's more updates. But that's the Sykkuno situation so far. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Do tell me if I missed anything important. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you around.